What's up, guys? Mr. Octagonal here from Octagonal Gaming. Now we have my NFL free agency predictions for offense. I made a separate video for defense. That's on my other channel. I'm collabing with myself. R.I.P. me. So I will leave a link to in the description of my defensive predictions as well. So I have basically top 5 players through position. I gave each player a player grade, and I'm going to pretty much predict where they go. So starting at quarterback, my highest graded quarterback is Kirk Cousins, and it sounds like that he will be signing with the Minnesota Vikings on a 3-year, $84 million contract. He is one of the players who have already said where he's probably going to go. Not everyone has said where they're going to go, but a decent handful have. And I think this is a pretty good move for both sides. Cousins gets a lot of money, and he gets to go on a good team in the Minnesota Vikings, who are 1 win away from making the Super Bowl. Meanwhile, for the Vikings, I was worried that a team was going to overpay Kirk Cousins so much. And while you can say he got overpaid, I thought a team was going to overpay him for 5-6 years. So he's about 30 years old. I think he's 29. So I don't think a 5 or 6 year contract would be smart. But a 3-year contract is reasonable. And so I think this is a pretty good move. My second highest player grade goes to Drew Brees, and he is staying with the New Orleans Saints on a 2-year, $50 million deal. This is not surprising at all. Number 3, Teddy Bridgewater. He will not be joining the Vikings next year since they have Kirk Cousins now. And a team that I feel like makes a lot of sense for him is Arizona. The Cardinals don't have a quarterback. They have a new coach. And they have an okay roster. So Teddy on the Cardinals will make a lot of sense. A young quarterback who could be their franchise quarterback if he can stay healthy. 4th is Case Keenum. Now, journeyman quarterbacks generally don't do good after they have a really good year, which is why Case Keenum is only a C+. He's already decided he's joining the Broncos, I believe, on a 3-year deal. And I'm a little wary of this because he's a journeyman. Journeymen usually have maybe 1-2 good years, but then after that it's an issue. I think Denver should have drafted a quarterback. I know they don't like to rebuild those Broncos. They got Peyton Manning. They won a ring. But I don't think their team, nor Case Keenum, is capable of bringing a ring to Denver. So I don't think this is a good move. Number 5 is A.J. McCarron. I would say he's going to the Browns, but I kind of doubt that with Tyrod Taylor. Arizona could be a landing spot. The Jets could be a landing spot. Since Teddy's in Arizona, I'm going to predict A.J. McCarron signs with the New York Jets and is a bridge quarterback for whoever they draft, because with Kirk Cousins pretty much off the table, they pretty much have to draft a quarterback now. Next up is the running back position. Not quite as strong as the quarterback position, especially with Le'Veon Bell no longer available, as he did get franchise tagged by the Pittsburgh Steelers, but maybe he'll be here next year. So my highest graded running back is Carlos Hyde. I gave him a B. He's had some inconsistency issues in San Francisco, but none of his other running backs I feel like are as good as him. There are many running back needing teams. I think the top 2 that would make sense for Carlos Hyde would be the Buccaneers or the Colts. The Colts are ready to go Frank Gore. The Bucs cut Doug Martin. And if I had to say, I'd probably say Indy. But Tampa Bay is a better team, and I feel like Tampa Bay could use him more. And I feel like it would make more sense for Tampa Bay than it would the Colts, as the Colts are rebuilding. I don't think the Bucs are really in rebuilding mode. They just had a down year last year. And I think Carlos Hyde of the Bucs would make a lot of sense. Or even Carlos Hyde of the Colts. Maybe even the Texans. Next up, Isaiah Crowell. He's not coming back to the Browns. And one of those teams, maybe the Lions, could go after Isaiah Crowell. I don't think the Lions are going to get Carlos Hyde. As a Lions fan, I would not mind the Lions getting Carlos Hyde. I don't want Jonathan Stewart or DeMarco Murray, to be honest. But Isaiah Crowell for a running back needy team. Maybe even the Giants, but I don't think the Giants are going to get him. Because the Browns, I think they're taking Saquon. Now that they have Tyrod Taylor, they don't need Crowell. Saquon and Duke Johnson, that's going to be a scary backfield. LeGarrette Blount, he's won 2 straight Super Bowls with the Patriots and Eagles, and a team that isn't really good at winning could use a winning mentality, sort of like the Lions. 1 playoff win in the past 60 years, eh? I think LeGarrette Blount and the Lions on a maybe 2-year deal for about $8-9 million. I think that makes sense. Dion Lewis for the Patriots, I'm giving him a pretty low grade because pretty much any running back can succeed in that Patriots system. I predict he will sign with the Indianapolis Colts. A lot of rumors of that. If Josh McDaniels was the coach, then he'd definitely be joining the Colts, but I still think there's a good chance he does join Indianapolis. And the last one, a lot of people may not agree with him at number 5. That is Orleans Darkwa. I think people would think players like Jeremy Hill are better, but I like Orleans Darkwa as a running back / wide receiver in the backfield, sort of like a Theo Riddick or a Duke Johnson that the Lions and Browns have. I don't think Orleans Darkwa will re-sign with the Giants, but I feel like it makes sense for a team, and pretty much any team who could use a backup running back, who has a good running back, but needs another guy. Sort of like the Steelers, James Conner's okay. The Cardinals, they're going to let go of Adrian Peterson. They have David Johnson. The Cowboys, they have Ezekiel Elliott. So it's good to sort of have a change of pace, third down running back like Orleans Darkwa. Next up, we have the wide receiver position, and we are starting out with Allen Robinson. Now, personally, if Jarvis Landry didn't get franchise tagged, he'd probably be number 1 with an A grade. But since he got tagged, Allen Robinson is my number 1. He got injured week 1. He tore his ACL last year, so we didn't really get to see him last year. But he's a phenomenal player. He's had terrible quarterback play throughout his career, and he's a great player. It sounds like he's signing with the Bears. I'm not sure what the contract is, but that's all I know. As a Lions fan, this makes me sad because Allen Robinson is a phenomenal player. Also, by the way, I don't think I said it in the beginning of the video, or if there aren't any restricted free agents, because I'd probably have Cameron Meredith at like number 3. I think he's better than Paul Richardson. Number 2, we have Sammy Watkins, who was traded to the Rams last year. He has already said he is signing with the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think this is great for the Kansas City Chiefs. Outside of Tyreek Hill, they don't have any good receivers, and I view Tyreek Hill as more of a speedy, versatile player. Last year, he sort of proved it to me that he can play wide receiver. That's what I was really thinking going into last year, but maybe I sort of changed my mind, which I think he had a good year at wide receiver, but I also think they can use him at other spots on the offense. So I think this is good for Patrick Mahomes, get another target. They have Travis Kelce, they have Kareem Hunt, even though he's not really running back. They have Spencer Ware still, who I think can be a great change of pace back in Kansas City. So I think this makes a lot of sense. Sammy Watkins, he has had injury and inconsistency issues, but he was taken number 4 overall by the Bills for a reason. He has a lot of talent, there's no doubt about that. I think he can succeed with the Chiefs. Number 3, I have Paul Richardson of the Seattle Seahawks. Very slow start to his career, but he has played better as his career has gone along. He's quite fast, and I doubt he's going to return to the Seahawks. So pretty much a team that could use some speed. The Eagles, they just lost Torrey Smith. They have Mac Hollins, who they drafted last year, who had a good preseason. But getting someone like him makes sense. Maybe a team like the Cincinnati Bengals, who don't have a lot of receivers, or the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens were trying to go after Landry. They probably wanted to get Allen Robinson or Sammy Watkins as well. They didn't get any of them, and receiver is a huge need for the Baltimore Ravens. So I think Paul Richardson will make a lot of sense. And another team that will make a lot of sense for a team like the Ravens is Marquise Lee of the Jaguars. Now, with losing Allen Robinson, I think it is extremely important that the Jaguars do re-sign Marquise Lee. Outside of Marquise Lee, all they really have a receiver is Allen Hurns. Hurns and Marquise Lee aren't really that good. I'd probably say Marquise Lee is a little bit better than Allen Hurns, but maybe getting some other wide receivers from the Jaguars would be beneficial, as they are probably starting to go on a Super Bowl run since they are a very talented team. And my last receiver is John Brown from the Arizona Cardinals. He's a solid player, but he's nothing great. A 2-year, $11 million deal with a team that needs a receiver. I think that's pretty good, as John Brown is a pretty underrated player. And now let's get to tight ends. Next up is the tight end position, and I think this is a very good free agency class for tight ends. I think tight end and defensive line are probably the 2 strongest positions, and if I had to choose one that was stronger, I'd probably say tight end. So first, I think you could debate between many players for the number 1 spot, but I'm going with Tyler Eifert. He has had many injury issues throughout his career, but he is a game-changing player. For a team that needs a tight end, I think Tyler Eifert could be a great pickup. A team like the Seahawks, since they're going to lose Jimmy Graham, but Seahawks are sort of rebuilding. Maybe the LA Rams. No, they don't need a tight end. They have Gerald Everett and Tyler Higbee. The Patriots don't need one. The Eagles don't really need one, even though they are losing Trey Burton. Pretty much any good team. The Packers, they could use a tight end. They're pretty good. Carolina, no, they have Greg Olsen. But pretty much the Steelers, Jesse James is okay, but Tyler Eifert will be an upgrade. The Broncos maybe could use a tight end. They have some talented players. The Raiders could definitely use a tight end. The Jaguars really need a tight end. I think the Jaguars could make a lot of sense. The Jaguars are very willing to spend a lot of money in free agency, as we'll get to in a second with the offensive line. But Tyler Eifert, he's a phenomenal player, and he is a game changer when he's healthy. Second, we have Jimmy Graham of the Seattle Seahawks, and he's not returning to Seattle. He has not quite been as good with the Seahawks as he has been with New Orleans, and New Orleans could very well be the spot that Jimmy Graham heads to. Another place could be Detroit if the Lions do trade away Eric Ebron, which it sounds like that will happen. Austin Seferian-Jenkins, he had a great year with the Jets. After not a great career with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he definitely resurged his career, and he's definitely going to get a pretty big payday from a team that could use a tight end. Trey Burton, he is a very talented player, but the Eagles didn't really use him enough. They did have him throw a touchdown pass in the Super Bowl to Nick Foles, though, and he is signing with the Chicago Bears, which makes me sad as a Lions fan once again. And last, we have Benjamin Watson. He's still a great player for the Ravens, but he is pretty old, so it's pretty debatable if I'd put him at 5th. Last but not least, we have offensive linemen, and we are starting out with my only A-plus graded player in the whole free agency for both sides of the ball, and that is the Carolina Panthers All-Pro guard, well, formerly Carolina Panthers guard, Andrew Norwell, who has agreed to a deal with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I said they're willing to spend a lot of money in free agency. Last year they did with Calais Campbell and A.J. Boye. Those were home runs. The year before they did it with Malik Jackson. So the Jaguars, they're always coming out aggressive in free agency. Last year it worked perfectly, as Calais Campbell is a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, probably second to Aaron Donald, and A.J. Boye was one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. And they're doing it with Andrew Norwell. They want to help out Leonard Fournette and Blake Bortles. I think this is great for the Jaguars. Next up is Weston Richburg. The Giants fans are already pissed that they don't get Andrew Norwell when it sounded like they will. And now they're not going to get Weston Richburg back either, as he is signing a 5-year contract with the San Francisco 49ers. So about Jimmy Garoppolo and whoever will be the running back there. Nate Solder, the Patriots left tackle, they need him back, but I expect him to get a lot of money. So, will he join the Patriots? We'll see if he returns there. Jack Mewhort from the Indianapolis Colts. He's a talented player, but Colts need offensive linemen, so him coming back would probably not be bad for the Colts, but he's going to ask for a lot of money. And another player who may ask for a lot of money is the Lions starting center, Travis Swanson, who's a pretty talented player. And I feel like him and Jack Mewhort both may get overpaid. That's getting the video. Who do you want your favorite team to get on my other channel, Octagonal Sports /Reacts? There will be defensive free agency predictions. I'm out. Peace.
I'm a Barbie girl in the Barbie world. Loving plastic, it's fantastic. You can brush my hair, undress me everywhere. Imagination, life is your creation.
Hey, hey!